Howdy. Name's CR. Fancy myself a writer. About to read you a little bit of the chapter I've been working on a novel that is still in progress. So anyway, the title of this chapter is The Garden of Lupia Thoreau, and I'm going to begin reading and hopefully get through the first section of it. Here we go. I didn't think you would mind. Well, of course I would prefer something different, but no, I don't mind. Outside their car, the world was a freezing field of spinning ice. Fine particles of wet clinging to every fence post, angle, thought. It isn't like you haven't had it before. That's true. Steadily the vehicle rolls on. Wheels in subtle battle with the crinkling soil. A bump, sitting sandwiches skirting along the back seat. Did he live there long? About 30 years, I think. Settled in right after. Strange. Another rut. Again jiggling the saran wrap lunches. He downships. She stares at a fleeting image of a snow-settled farm. Could it have been different, you think? No telling. Or who knows? He didn't have much choice, really. Yeah. It is a listless reply, keeping with her mood. The day behind them. In the distance, far to their left, children aim balls of hardened water at each other's ears. I mean, tuna isn't all bad. No. What's yours? Ham. The word with an edge to it she does not believe pigs possess. Briefly this thought, then longer still, the time it takes him to crawl over a shining white bridge, why she thought it at all. Of course pigs aren't hard. Fucking snow. It would have to let out like this, wouldn't it? 2 fucking day of all fucking days. Language. Muttering acquiescence, he wipes away the condensation from the windshield. She would laugh, if it was appropriate, since the sight of him agitated like this is rare, if obvious for such a prize. The garden of Lupia Thoreau. In another hour they arrive. An hour of winds, leaving the sky clear and fragile, the ground underneath a diamond scattering multitudes of light. He answers the tuna, pulls the wrapper from his hand. It's flat, mostly, these gardens, nor is this absent relief flattering for the grounds under snow. She cannot tell where they begin or end until he points out the thin wires of the electric fence. 3 acres behind those wires, and other than one rock, a round, sluggish thing, there is nothing else to see. Nothing but white. The distance. She walks a few steps into the garden, wondering if there is anything else to it, if it would look different without the snow. Somewhere the click of a shutter behind her. He has already begun. Slowly walks the perimeter, taking shot after shot with an obvious rigor, method, a plan. She watches him work, documenting the strange place, her thoughts turning, time to time, till it was like 10 years ago. What sort of flowers might Lupia have grown? Then wishing she had brought that pack of cigarettes with her, till, finally, why she would have journeyed so far with a man who can't be bothered to remember she hates tuna, the taste of which is lingering in her mouth. Dilly-dally, shilly-shally. They spend the next 2 hours at the garden. In that time he takes 34 rolls of film, walks the length of the field 4 times, in each instance facing a different cardinal direction, and asks her 3 questions. Are you cold? Was the sandwich enough? Would you turn that down? Even though he is not wearing his toboggan, the wind doesn't seem to bother him. It does scratch by his left ear a bit. Whether the cause of this fidget is physical or mental, she isn't sure. Is sure she didn't bite him that deeply the night before. This thought consumes her for a while, a smattering of minutes perhaps, until she starts thinking about other things, things having to do with the road before them and those roads they have already traveled. Briefly, she remembers Bushwick, the months she spent there, her mother's home in Nevada, the fact that she disdains pink toenail polish. At the moment, her toenails are polished in a light gunmetal hue, although he has yet to notice, or if noticed, say anything about. She doesn't dwell on it, though. Turns down the radio. The sand was delish. Of course she is cold. This question does not require a reply. That night, after a messy Texas chili dinner at the small restaurant attached to the hotel where they were lodging, he tells her again about the first time he read A Handful of Eggshells. The biography, although he takes great pains to assure her, is more than that, if not an entirely new form of art, so much more than that. Lupiat wrote while living at the garden. It is the same discussion, or lack of one, since she's begun omitting her plug-in responses, that they had the first night they met on the L train. It is the same discussion they had the first night they made love. It is the same discussion they had the afternoon he convinced her to join him on this trip, and it is the same discussion that lives inside him until he opens his mouth, until he needs to speak, until he must speak, until he can no longer stay mute. These thoughts, this topic, the words in his mind, or whatever else he might be saying, and it was just this purity, this strange coherence, that attracted him to her. She knows he will never leave her. She knows this as surely as she knows that he will always talk about Lupiat Foreau after they make love, or after dinner, or while waiting on a train. She knows this about him, can see that every word formed in what she believes to be a perfect mouth is formed because there is an idea that Lupiat put behind this mouth. That this idea requires an escape, release. She loves his certainty, this commonality through all his dreams. When he finally falls asleep, she imagines lying beside him, perhaps playing with his hair or stroking his flaccid cock, that he is like that little French orphan who lived on meteors, yet content with it, life on a dead rock. His heartbeat stirs her to restlessness. The comforter stifles. She gets up and retrieves the clandestine package of smokes from her toiletry bag, her lighter, dons the puffy down parka and steps out on the back patio. She is never worried about quitting. Smoke coursing through her. She does not fear cancer, a late middle-aged smoker's cough, emphysema, or even having to carry around a canister of oxygen and speak through a tiny hole in her neck. She has never feared tomorrow. What else might happen? What else won't occur? What will? Nor has she ever seen the stars from that tiny patch of South Dakotan land, from that one unique point on the earth. It takes her 2 cigarettes to decide how beautiful it is. Stubbing out the butt of the second one, she arrives at the conclusion it is the prettiest thing she has ever seen. Just like everything else.